Hello and welcome to Redbrick Gaming Podcast number 3. I'm one of your co-hosts, Nick Burton, and I'm a contributor for the section. Joining me this week again is...
I'm James Marvin, one of the paper editors for the section.
I'm James Lentschner. I'm also one of the paper editors for the section.
And I'm Olivia Boyce. I edit the culture section of Redbrick.
Okay, so today we have a really good show coming up. We have a few big announcements, starting with the Nintendo Switch. So the Switch is Nintendo's next console generation, basically. It is a mix of a home gaming console and a handheld device. So yeah, let's just get the broad reactions here. What do you guys think about the Switch?
I think it's an interesting idea. Like, I watched the trailer and I was kind of like, oh, that looks alright.
Right.
But then the questions start creeping in, being like, oh, the battery life, how long is it going to last? What's it like when you're handheld mode? What's the resolution on handheld like? Is it more powerful when it's docked? So I'm speculative, but also quite hopeful. I think it's definitely a step in the right direction from the Wii U, which I don't think it could really go worse than that did. So
fair enough, yeah.
I think I'm being quite optimistic with the Switch. I think the way that it looks like it's taken what they tried to do with the Wii U and just done it better. So to me, it just seems like it holds an awful lot of potential if implemented well. And I relish the idea of actually having a console, like a handheld, with the actual ability to be able to play the games like I wanted, like Zelda and all of the games that I probably had to play on like the Wii back before because I didn't have a Wii U. To me, the idea of actually getting to play all these games again is just fantastic.
I think I'm looking forward to, more so than necessarily the console itself, more so the opportunities for Nintendo to take a step back to their own kind of traditional IPs and to go, okay, what can we do with these things that have been either a bit stagnant or have the last couple of kind of games within the series have suffered. So especially like the Mario games, things like that. I think one of the games that they show in the trailer of them playing is this unconfirmed Mario title, and it's literally 10 seconds. But I was like, oh, I can't wait to get to play Mario again on a new console anyway. But
yeah, because there's something that got me was like they were playing Skyrim on it as well, weren't they? In the trailer, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, Skyrim's on the Switch." I was like, "Yeah, it's Skyrim," but like you do remember that Skyrim came out in 2011, right, guys? Like, it's because that's the main concern with the Switch. Really, is also the power of the system. Because obviously, I think no matter what they do, it's going to be less powerful than what we currently have, like Xbox One and PS4, and they came out maybe 5 years ago now.
Yeah. Like that. Oh, wait, the Xbox One?
Yeah, one of them.
2013.
Yeah, 2012, 2013, something like that. Yeah, so obviously they're quite mid-cycle, basically.
Yeah.
And to come in mid-cycle, and still be less powerful, that's not really great.
But how powerful does it need to be? Because to me, the idea that if it's able to play its Zelda games and its Smash games, like, I'm not sure how they compare to some of these other games, but I'm not sure they're hugely, hugely taxing games, but they just seem...
But what you got to consider is like, so they've confirmed all these publishers like Activision, EA.
Right. So yeah. So they confirmed along with the announcement a press release which had a list with a bunch of publishers, third-party developers, etc. And the list was extensive. Yeah. Activision, EA, BioWare, From Software, loads of 505 games. Massive list, which is obviously a good sign because the Wii U had literally no third-party support at all, pretty much, apart from the launch. So that's a good news, I think, because if you haven't got the third-party games on there, it will not sell.
But the only concern is that the Wii U, when it first launched, also had that massive third-party support as well.
Right.
So just saying, oh yeah, we've got the third-party support doesn't really mean anything because 8 months down the line, they could all retract that obligation to the system because the fact is, if it's less powerful, what you're going to have a problem with is, say, like the next Battlefield game, Battlefield, I don't know, 2, if they call it something like that. Obviously, Battlefield games are quite intensive. The PS4 and Xbox One, I imagine, are quite maxed out running that game. Yeah, and I can't see it's an issue with them porting it over. They're going to stop producing those games for it because and if for a game like Battlefield, but a series like that, you're going to see massive differences in visual fidelity and features, probably even between the Nintendo system and the Microsoft and Sony systems, because that's happened exactly with the Wii and Wii U. It wasn't like the Wii got like the PS2 version of World at War rather than the 360 and PS3 version.
The Wii was almost mid. So let's just backtrack a second here then. So I think the main issue we're talking about here is like the power. How powerful is this device, right? And how powerful is the handheld version of this device? I think it's important as well to note that Scorpio is coming out next year, and it's supposed to be 5 times more powerful than the Xbox One. Now, like you said, James, obviously, if the games are on the Switch, the first party amazing Nintendo games that are always on there, doesn't really matter. If they get the back catalogue on there, it'll probably sell quite a fair amount.
If they get a new Mario platformer, a new Zelda game, a new Smash game, get all of those in, get them on a new console generation, people will buy them because they are always good, enjoyable games, and that's what Nintendo does well. So to me, I'm not really looking so much as to, how much battery life does this console have? Will I be able to take it out here? Will I be able to do it wherever I want? To me, that's not really the main issue. To me, it's just, can I finally get a console again where I'm not holding like a tablet and I'm able to play the Nintendo games I want to play?
Right.
See, I'm not that much of a fuss about the Nintendo games because I was never a Nintendo kid growing up.
Right, same.
As a kid, I played PC and a bit of my brother's Dreamcast. So for me, like, the appeal is in that gimmick, the ability to be able to, like, I'm playing Skyrim, and I can just whack in the Joy-Cons, I think they're called, the little, like...
Yeah, so I think they're called Joy-Cons because it's mixed between a joystick and a controller, so the name is Joy-Con, but yeah...
Classic Nintendo. And that's the appeal to me, being able to slide it in, and being like, I'm just going to, pop to the library, and I'll take it with me to have like a little, break every now and again to play a bit of Skyrim. Right. So that's the kind of appeal to me, to take it, like... When I'm going home this evening, and I obviously can't take my PS4 with me, so I'm not going to be able to play any of my games while I'm at home this weekend. I could with the Switch. Imagine that, I'd be able to whack it in, play a few games of Battlefield 1 online, whilst I'm on the train home or whatever. And I guess that's another concern as well, actually. How is online going to work in portable mode?
Yeah, one concern I do have as well is on the trailer they showed multiple people like taking out these Joy-Cons and playing with them. But it only appears to me like the Nintendo Switch seems to come with 2 Joy-Cons. So if you want to actually like play with the multiplayer things, you're going to have to buy separate Joy-Cons that don't slot onto your console, just so you have them like in...
Well, they sell the Pro controllers, don't they?
So there's obviously a lot more. There's going to be, I think, a press release or another announcement early January 2017 now. But yeah, so in this trailer that the Nintendo released, which actually, can we just like, it had literally hardly any writing. It was just all visual cues, which I kind of appreciated. Yeah. So the trailer show a lot of like the varied multiplayer modes and ways you can play with the Switch. So you can play with the Joy-Cons or the Pro controller, which I think is what most Nintendo gamers want at the moment, because they just want a gaming controller that that is like the DualShock 4, like the Xbox One, which I can't remember the name of. I think they will have to purchase extra Joy-Con controllers, which might set them back, but again, we don't know the price, we don't know how much the controllers will be.
But I think that's the thing, if it comes in at a reasonable price, maybe even if they can guarantee longevity with third-party support as well, then it could be the absolute killer system for Nintendo, and they could, in a way, take over from Sony and Microsoft this generation, just because, that, to me, just the appeal of being able to carry any game ever that I want in my pocket.
No, I agree.
That's absolutely huge. It's the first time I'm absolutely hyped for a Nintendo console since the Wii, and the Wii came out when I was like 10. So
yeah, I think one thing with the fantasy we have is the where you put the handheld device into the main sort of console. Is that the charging port? Because if it is, then it might not last that long when you go for weekends home or whatever. So that's something to consider.
It seems like like the way that the console was, obviously I'm a bit speculating here, but the way that the console looked, it doesn't seem like it would be too difficult for it to have some sort of handheld charging.
Like a little just like plug, basically.
Like a handheld charger, because it looks like a console that is designed to be taken. It's a console that's being marketed to be taken with you. So if they don't allow for handheld charging support, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot before they've even begun.
And I mean, they did that with the 3DS as well, didn't they? They had it came with that kind of charging cradle, as they called it, but really it was just you still had to plug the plug that went in the wall into that cradle. So it was basically something you could just sit your console and it charged slightly quicker. that's easy enough for them to do.
See, that actually quite annoyed me because I'm one of the few people I actually know out of my friends that had a 3DS, and I never really vented about this before. But the thing that I always used to do with the DS, which probably wasn't like a healthy thing for the console, but I did it anyway, was if I was playing like a game for a long time above like the 3-hour battery life or whatever it was, if I just plug in the charging cable into the back of the DS, have the plug going, and just play the console sat against the sofa or something with the plug in the sofa, because the wire would stretch. So I could play the console, the handheld, the DS, as if it was limitless battery. It probably wasn't very healthy for the battery, but you couldn't do that with the 3DS because you had to take it out and put it in the charging cradle, which meant that you couldn't play it.
Okay, so I haven't got a 3DS, so just to be clear here, is it so you had to take the battery out of the 3DS and put it like in a separate little cradle?
You put the 3DS into a
similar to how the Switch looks, where you put it in a thing.
From what I can remember though, you could just plug it. You could just bypass the. I don't think I ever used because I.
If you could actually bypass the cradle, that is huge news to me.
I think you could. I think you could just plug in the back of the 3DS the charger.
Am I actually the biggest idiot in the world? I've never noticed it.
Should I edit that bit out?
Yeah.
But because I did a quick Google search on the Switch just before you came in, Nick, and Eurogamer have managed to confirm that the little tablet screen for it is 720p.
I saw that, yeah.
And multi-touch as well.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
720p.
Yeah, that's that.
But that's James, I mean, if
that, but for this,
but that doesn't bother me.
Sort of technology and generation, that's
if they came out and said, right, when it's in portable mode, it's less powerful, yeah, and it renders at 720p. But when you put it into the cradle, yeah, it goes up to whatever resolution your TV is.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt it's going to do that. Yeah.
It's a more powerful. Somehow it makes it a more powerful console.
Yeah,
maybe on par with the other two competitors.
I think that's the only way you're going to do that.
That will completely.
I could perfectly handle 720p, to be quite honest, if it improves battery life or whatever.
Because it's a 6.2 inch screen, so on that scale, you're not going to notice a difference between 720p and 1080p. To be fair, if they said it's 720p on your big TV, that's when you're going to notice that massive difference in resolution. So,
although flashy as well, to me, graphics and resolution and all these other secondary things don't really make a huge difference to the game. If they release a new Zelda or a new Smash Brothers and it's good and it's enjoyable and it's what I like from Nintendo, I'm not going to mind.
Oh, it's not so much graphics. Obviously, graphics don't make a game. I think Battlefront proved that the best, didn't it? With all geo mapping technology to accurately depict all the maps and everything. For as pretty as it looked, it was completely shallow and completely rubbish in many respects. Yeah. But I feel like, if you go out and say to consumers, oh yeah, this thing you're buying, yeah, when you probably already own a competing device is less powerful, yeah, that's going to affect sales quite heavily. Even I think for the Nintendo hardcore, because they're going to be after the failure that the Wii U was, they're going to be a bit more skeptical with the new console, I feel.
Yeah, I think they're trying to appeal to both growing up audiences and adult gamers, right? And the thing with the 3DS was that it was appealed to children so much and not really to adult gamers, I think. And the thing with the Wii U is it's just the weirdest, who thought that would be a good idea for a controller to have a massive screen on it so that your hands are super stretched?
The only usage I don't know, I find some games, it lends itself more to the games like Zelda, like Wind Waker, where you can draw have the map and you can draw and you can use it. And I remember you could sit, as long as you were within a fair range of your console, you could play the game so you could just pick that up and leave. You didn't have to. So I would be playing Wind Waker on the tablet whilst the console itself was plugged into a television. Somebody was watching something on Netflix on. It was kind of cool that they could go, I'm going to borrow the TV for a bit, and I'll go, okay, just press one button, and then I can just sit and keep playing on that. That I found quite cool.
Yeah,
which is a similar idea to what they're doing with the Switch. Is that
I was going to say,
be able to pick up and go.
Now it seems like
only further, hopefully, than within however many meters of your actual console.
Yeah, because now it seems. Well, now you said that, Nintendo Switch does seem like it's basically an evolution of the Wii U, and the Wii U, now thinking about it, seemed like a sort of grown-up DS with that's your top screen on your TV and here's your bottom screen.
Yeah.
So maybe there's more thought to this sort of progress of consoles than maybe we think.
I think what they really wanted to touch into when they designed the Wii U is that they basically just looked at what was the rise and the success of tablets, and they just looked at all people are buying these, the iPad's hugely popular, other tablets were hugely popular, and they just thought, if we just bring our own particular brand of gaming and what we can offer to this hardware to the tablet idea, we can do something really good. It's just that for a lot of people, it isn't what they were after, because a lot of people like about a tablet, it's the handheld aspect. They can take it wherever they want, use it in all the different rooms of their house, etc., and they couldn't quite offer that yet, which appears to be, in many ways, I feel like the Wii U might have been a prototype for what they're trying to do now, but obviously I think they made quite heavy losses off of the Wii U, so it wasn't the best idea.
Yeah, I think it's possibly the worst named gaming console ever, just because I wasn't tuned into Nintendo that much when it sort of released, and then when I heard it was literally the next generation, I just thought it was an upgraded Wii. That's what I thought the Wii U was. Could we quickly discuss the fact that they are now basically just on a completely different cycle to the release of the sort of generic console generations? Obviously, that's breaking up now with the PS4 Pro and the Scorpio. But, I mean, do you think Nintendo will be doing the same trends that Xbox and Sony now doing? Will they release a Nintendo Switch 1.5 or
I don't think they ever will. I mean, the reason these Pro consoles are coming out and the Scorpio's coming out is to, embody more of the PC architecture and the PC ecosystem, 4K gaming, mods, all that kind of stuff. And just on a slight tangent, the more that consoles become more like PCs, the less appealing they become. But I feel like Nintendo have absolutely zero interest in stuff like 4K. They couldn't give a damn about modding on the consoles. All they really care about, I feel, with Nintendo is offering a unique and innovative experience. If you look at all their consoles since the Wii, motion controllers, for what successful failure they were, motion controllers, the tablet control, the ability to pick it up and do it, that's Nintendo's thing. PS4 and Xbox, they go, oh yeah, more power, more shareability, more like PCs, more like PCs.
Internet, isn't it? Yeah.
Whereas Nintendo's like, ooh, what could we do differently to offer people? And that's why
innovation.
That's why a lot of people do own, your PS4 and your Nintendo system. Yeah. The only reason why people didn't do that with Wii U because Wii U was crap.
Yeah.
See, Nintendo, I honestly feel like Nintendo for me is one of my favorite developers. Anything is because it doesn't feel the need of these other companies to, as so say, compete. It does what it wants to do, and because it has its own hold on its properties, it's Mario, it's Zelda, and all of these things, and the developers and the designers for these games work so closely with Nintendo or for Nintendo in many cases, they can actually focus on actually making brilliant games rather than just, let's make a fantastic console that can do this, and this, and this, and then have very few games that are actually enjoyable and capable of showing it off. Whereas I prefer in a lot of cases if these companies set their consoles a bit lower to bar and were able to create games and just fantastic games to be able to go with them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I think the gaming industry, this is sort of a different topic altogether, but look, we play games for the gaming aspect, yeah? If it's got a great story for a game, that's great. If it's got great graphics, that's great. I love looking at pretty games, but you play games, yeah? If you want to watch pretty stuff, you watch a movie. If you want to, I don't know, have a weird experience, you do something else. You go on a roller coaster. We play games to play games. We play it for the gameplay. And like you say, the emphasis to 4K is not needed, yeah? It's not as big of a jump from 480p to 1080p. It's just not. And people are becoming less focused on the tech aspects. And like you say, Nintendo are great at focusing on their games. And I think Xbox is getting better at their games. Forza Horizon 3 is apparently fantastic. Like we said last time, was a success for not being a failure, basically. And and Sony have had some of the best games ever. Exclusively, Uncharted series might be considered the best game series ever just because of the fantastic story. And The Last of Us, I mean, come on. So I think and this generation, Sony are not delivering on their first party games at all. The Last Guardian should have been out 10 years ago, so I'm not going to credit them with that. So I think there should be more focus on games. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, as you're saying, we're living in an industry where we're going for 4K before we've actually mastered 1080p 60.
Right.
You know what I mean? No console can do 1080p 60 yet. We're all being like, oh, let's go do 4K. I think the further that Nintendo stay away from that, the better that system will come off. I mean, you've only actually got to look at the Nintendo Switch to see like they've gone, oh, let's reassess ourselves, come across a bit more adult, and just really refine idea. Look at the console. It is.
It's black.
Yeah, it's something that, myself as a 20-year-old man would happily put in my living room and not be ashamed of it. Because the Wii U, the big tablet thing looked like a toy.
Yeah.
So I feel like, if Nintendo knuckle down a bit and they're like, yes, this is, okay, we've reassessed it, and they stay as far away as Microsoft. I mean, I love my PS4, but
I love my Xbox One.
The decisions that Sony and Microsoft are doing, are just stupid, in my opinion. Like the way they're pushing it, and I feel like they will regret going for stuff like 4K, and they're stopping making consoles do what they were last generation, where they were completely different to PCs and had that appeal of being a console. And
a gaming console.
The more you make it more like a PC, the less appealing they become. And I'm just going to get a PC eventually. And I'll buy my Nintendo system to go alongside that
absolutely.
instead.
So, just a quick summary of what we think of the Switch. So, do you guys think it will be a success? Maybe relative to the Wii U, I think we can all agree it'll be more successful than the Wii U.
I don't think it can be less successful.
Right. So what do you think? How successful will this console be?
If it's purely based on even if the console comes out and it's underwhelming and the things purely based on innovation and what it can potentially provide, the idea of being able to take it anywhere, having this game console that you can just set down and play with your friends pretty much wherever you want, I think it will probably do quite successful. And obviously there are some die-hard Nintendo fans out there that will just buy the consoles and the games regardless.
Right.
Like, they could make the Nintendo fridge that's like 3 foot tall and people would still buy it.
It's true.
Honestly, I have high hopes, and provided that they don't just do a No Man's Sky and just recall all of these stuff that they said they can do, and just say actually no, it's got no handheld controllers, and the screen doesn't turn on, etc., etc.
Right.
I think it will do quite well, and I'm really optimistic that it will do well because I really want it to.
Yeah, I think it's one of the first consoles in a long time that I've looked at it and gone, just from the first trailer, and gone, I really hope this does all right because it's promising. I think what we've seen so far is quite promising. I haven't looked at it and thought, oh, I'm not sure about that yet. I think I'm coming at this from a much more open-minded and kind of, I guess, positive aspect than I would for, especially the Wii U. I was very uncertain about that beforehand just because I wasn't sure how they were going to pull it off. And in the end, the sales kind of reflected that trend of people not being sure whether it ever did really kind of pull off for them. So I think it's definitely going to be a move in the right direction for Nintendo, and hopefully a step that will allow them to kind of regain a bit of their footing and will allow them then to concentrate on the good things that Nintendo have done for the last 30, 40, 50 years. So.
Yeah. I feel like in terms of sales, of course, it will be a success comparatively to our last console. To the Wii, we'll see if it's comparable to that, the original Wii. But
I mean, that was
that thing sold like hotcakes. Complete madness. But I feel like in terms of its longevity and its impact on the industry in the long run, we're going to have to know more about the power and more about how it functions in that portable mode. How does the online work? How long does that battery last? And I feel like, once Nintendo confirms some of these things and, hopefully they confirm it in a way where that builds hype even more, then it's going to have absolutely no problem fitting in, even if it's coming in mid-cycle. It'll sell well. It'll be hopefully regarded as an absolute hit, but I'm optimistic, but I'm still like speculative. I'm cautious about it because Nintendo's history with the Wii U, I think, deserves that cautious nature because and they're already off to a better start, and that the marketing already is 100 times. But they've released one trailer. That one trailer did more for the Switch than all marketing combined for the Wii U. So I'm optimistic for it, but cautious at the same time. I want to know more about it before I really go, I'm going to get one. But
if there's a positive to be drawn from what was the fail of the Wii U, it's that actually, like, the disappointment there is actually going to do a lot, I feel, for the sales of the Switch. Because people are so wanting Nintendo to go back to what Nintendo does well, and so wanting Nintendo to have a good console after what was generally a disappointment, that people are going to go out and get the Switch. I will, probably, even if, like, unless it comes out, like, a week before, or, like, hands-on reviewers or stuff say, don't get this is terrible, etc., etc., etc.
Which is very unlikely,
Which is very unlikely. I'll still probably get it myself, just because I want to be able to play these Nintendo games. I want, after what I took like an entire generation gap from Nintendo, because I didn't have a Wii U, and I just want to be playing the Nintendo games again because they are fun.
Yeah,
that new Zelda game does look pretty.
Absolutely. I think it's widely regarded that Nintendo have some of the best games ever made, and I think it'll be a success. But we need to know more before we consider it a big success. So the next big news story of the last sort of recent period of time. Red Dead Redemption 2. Right, now, before any of you say anything, this title is rubbish. It is rubbish. Right, unless they're really thinking of reboot. Like, I didn't know if when they decided to develop it internally, they wanted to relaunch the franchise. But Red Dead Revolver was the first game. And if they wanted to relaunch it, why not just call it a different name? Why is it called Red Dead Redemption 2?
I feel like because wasn't Red Dead Revolver made by Capcom?
Right.
I think
it was published by Rockstar.
Yeah, and I think obviously they took it on there. I think
right,
they,
but I mean,
they rebooted it and just didn't call it a reboot, and that's why people are like, why is it called?
But I mean, Red Dead Revolution.
I'm with you on this. It's not Redemption. It's Red Dead. Something else.
I mean, it's just, and also if it is, it's rumored to be a prequel, and if it's a prequel, the two makes even less sense. But Red Dead Revolution would have been a great name, I think. But anyway, past the name, I have never played Red Dead Redemption, as previous listeners would know, and you guys, which is a massive crime, but gives us an opportunity to stream that. But anyway, what do you guys think about Red Dead Redemption 2? Did you watch the trailer? There's like a minute-long trailer which was all in-game footage, which looked actually spectacular and atmospheric. So what do you start with you, Liv?
My actual first impression of the game was I saw someone had dubbed the trailer with the Johnny Cash song, and just I love watching it. I mean, having watched the actual trailer without the song, I was a bit like, missed out a bit there. You know, you missed a trick. You could have done that. But actually, just in general, I was kind of. I sat, and the more of the trailer I saw, the more excited I think I became, because I loved the original game, and I actually have played it through multiple times and played it through fairly recently. It was the game over the summer that I was desperate to come back and play again while I had the time to just devote to it, and I did. I played bits and pieces of things like Bioshock, but I played Red Dead in full, both that and Undead Nightmare.
I actually played that, and that was really fun.
Undead Nightmare is its own thing, and I think it's different. You can't necessarily. A lot of people think it's like kind of the epilogue where they went a bit bonkers with it.
Right.
It's not. It's kind of its own thing. But I'm really excited for it. I think just because from what I've seen so far, it kind of hits that nostalgia thing with me of it being a game that I will always remember as one of my favourites.
Dave, what do you think of the game?
See, I'm a bit of two minds about this, because I really enjoyed Red Dead Redemption, and I think, I honestly think that this game has the potential to be absolutely fantastic, and the gameplay. But for me, there's this nagging feeling in the back of my mind that it's just going to be GTA 5 and the Wild West, and that maybe that they're not going to like. The thing that I didn't enjoy about Red Dead Redemption was that I felt like in many instances the sandbox was a bit shallow, in that there wasn't so much to do outside of the main missions, of just lassoing someone and putting them on a train.
You need hunting missions, that's about it.
Yeah, and I kind of want there to be, like in GTA there was golf, there was all these mini games, but again, I'm thinking, provided there's a quite a large amount of side quests and activities and things to do that really immerse you in this whole Rockstar's Wild West experience, I think it could be really, really good. But if it's just like an expansion of Red Dead Redemption, it will be fun, and I'll probably play it because Red Dead Redemption was great, but I'll be disappointed.
Yeah, I kind of can't be hyped for something that is still about a year away. Yeah, just because it's a year away.
Yeah, one of the critiques is that Rockstar... Well, okay, look, Rockstar are possibly the most powerful publisher on the planet in terms of... They could have literally said, oh, by the way, guys, Red Dead 2 comes out in a week. There you go. And they would have sold millions of copies. But I don't know why they announced it so early.
Yeah, well, they have a trend. They did it with GTA 5 as well, and GTA 4, if my memory serves me correctly. They always seem to announce their games very early on.
I think there's, with them having the reputation that they do now, I think they must feel some sort of pressure to provide something.
Or just power in general. Yeah. I mean, I'm not being funny. If they said like tomorrow, Bully 2 comes out just a few months before, then I'd be like, now I'm on board. But Red Dead, like, I loved the first one, and I loved Revolver as well, even though it wasn't made by Rockstar. But I watched it, and then I watched the GTA 5 teaser just after, and thematically,
just to sort of compare.
Thematically, they're very similar. Just like landscape shot, landscape shot, landscape shot, landscape shot, bit of narration. Epic little ending logo.
Right.
If you picked it apart a bit, you could look at certain things and be like, oh yeah, there's probably more than 3 protagonists that you can play as an update from GTA 5. There's there are boats in it now apparently, more animal AI, all that kind of stuff. I'm excited in the sense that yes, okay, Red Dead 2. Even though it's not Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2 is a thing, but I will be more hyped for it the more I see, and the closer to the release date it gets, because I'm also quite excited, because they've confirmed, I don't know if they've confirmed it, but like they've kind of hinted at it, that there is going to be a Red Dead Online, and if that's anything at all like GTA Online, I'm in. Basically.
I genuinely debated. I thought that would persuade me to buy a console. Game, if it gets good reviews, if it lives up to what it will be, unfortunately a very hyped kind of build up to release, then I will definitely buy a console to get.
Because the only problem with it being announced now is that Rockstar's infamous reputation for delays. Because GTA 5 got delayed something like 2 or 3 times, didn't it? And then the PC version got delayed even more. Yeah,
that's so right. Oh my goodness!
I'll believe the fall 2017 release date when we get to about August time, and it's still set at that. Is it still set at that date? But until then, I'm going to say it probably won't come out until 2018. Just knowing Rockstar.
Right.
But.
So some general remarks quickly. I think just quickly, it's actually quite good that the Nintendo Switch announcement sort of. Was bigger than this, just because that's good news for Nintendo. And I think this game is probably going to be at least great. No matter what, Rockstar have nailed the formula clearly, because like we said last time, GTA 5 is an absolute smash hit. It's selling like Minecraft.
I think it's the best selling. It might be the best selling
console game.
It's the fastest selling game ever.
Oh yeah, it sold like a ridiculous amount on the first day or something, right? So on that point, I think it's almost impossible to do that again. I just think that
I'm just hoping that almost impossible. There's always that.
I mean, but they can always go in a different direction, right? So like they're like, okay, you all love GTA Online, you love these free updates. That's what you like about GTA. Red Dead Redemption 2 is single player only, and it's going to be an amazing campaign with a world full of side quests and other things to do.
I prefer that, to be quite honest.
But you see, I don't think they will do that, because if you look at Rockstar's games, like Gameography catalog.
Yeah, catalog of games. Yeah. I like Gameography, but catalog.
But if you look at it, all of their titles. Until they made Red Dead were very different to each other. Like, GTA was different to Bully in most respects. Similar kind of sandbox-esque kind of thing, but
there was a lot less murdering of prostitutes in Bully.
Manhunt was different.
Manhunt was very different.
And Midnight Club, of course, was different.
Yeah.
Even the smash hit table tennis was different to GTA.
Oh, that's a really good game.
When they released Red Dead, let's be honest, it was GTA in the Wild West, pretty much beat for beat, almost.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like that's kind of what Red Dead is. It's the Wild West version of Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, and that's what many people are probably expecting and probably know it as. That's what I know it as now. Yeah, before, Red Dead meant to me a arcade style PS2 shooter. Now it means GTA in Wild West, because that's what Redemption was. So I feel like it will be impossible for Rockstar to capture the hype, not hype, but the success of GTA 5, because GTA 5 is just mental. Yeah,
I mean,
I think it'll be impossible to capture, but you'll either just about match it, or like just ever so slightly just below it. It's just because of how GTA 5 got marketing hype just from the fact that they said it's the most expensive video game ever made, and it still is. So
right, yeah. I think also on the delay point, a game is delayed 2 or 3 times. Hopefully not that many, but yeah, it's delayed once or twice. But it's a 10 out of 10 forever. Yeah. And that's the thing with GTA 5. Were you going to say something, James? Or?
I was just saying it's probably kind of speaks to the success of the Grand Theft Auto series as a whole that even Rockstar's other games are getting compared as GTA clones.
Right.
The idea that they can't even make
dirty word you don't like.
Game.
Yeah, I don't really like the term clone because I understood it back in the day, obviously, because GTA was the first game that ever did it. But I feel like there are some games that in many ways surpass GTA in the sandbox realm. But that's a completely different topic. But I feel like Red Dead, of course, it's going to sell well. I don't see how it couldn't. I mean, everyone, 95% of the population played and loved Red Dead Redemption.
I think, I literally
and
think
those that haven't know of Red Dead Redemption, and I bet you will go back and play it now.
Yeah, I had.
Especially because it's back compat now, and it's available on PS now, whatever it is.
Yeah, and you can get Red Dead Revolver on PS4 as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
When I actually found out about the new trailer coming out, I knew they were going to do the trailer, and with what they obviously the way that they arranged the Twitter and the Facebook and things like that, it was clear there was a reveal coming. But I actually I think I was coming out of a lecture and my phone was buzzing a lot, and I thought, what's going on? And I looked, and there were people that I am friends with who have never played the original game, who had seen the announcement trailer and had thought of me because they knew I had, and had been sending me this through and had been saying, this game looks amazing, have you seen this? We know you like playing games, have you seen this game? It looks
That's
great.
nice of them.
And it's people that have never played a game, either I've never played maybe a console game, maybe occasionally play mobile games or play on
they're aware
PC.
of video games,
they're aware of Red Dead or of Rockstar as this company, and they've seen one trailer for it and thought, oh god, we've got to share this, like this looks amazing.
Yeah, because that's the
it's
thing.
got that sort of power behind it now. Rockstar do as a company, and their games do as a kind of collective. They capture people from places that don't necessarily you wouldn't consider their traditional audiences, because they do a great job of the early reveal trailers, the early kind of teasing. Like the Twitter kind of had a bit of a. I think it was the most trending thing on Twitter the whole time up until the release of the trailer.
Yeah, I mean the changing of the icon they done got like 200,000 likes and 150,000 retweets or something ridiculous. Like no other company could do that. But yeah, what are you going to say?
Yeah, that's the thing with Rockstar. Like their games, like they could produce anything at this point. It could be an original thing or a sequel.
Rockstar fridge.
Yeah. Or that's it could be a sequel to any of their IPs or something completely original, and people just associate the word Rockstar with quality game.
Yeah.
They took on Max Payne and Max Payne 3, even though many people didn't hear about it because it's Max Payne. Yeah, still one of my favourite games of last generation, and it was made by Rockstar.
I've yet to play that, but it's in my catalogue.
But that's the thing, Rockstar are at this stage now where they can just do anything and people buy it. Yeah, so no matter what, it will be a financial success. Whether it be a critical one, obviously, most likely, of course, but it is yet to be seen. But yeah, I think there's no way Red Dead Redemption 2 will be considered a failure on almost any level. So.
Yeah.
If anything, it will be considered a disappointment more than a failure, because I honestly don't believe I don't believe it could possibly fail financially, because people would still pick it up. It's Rockstar. They know what Rockstar provides. They know that there's going to be a certain quality to it, even if everything else is disappointing. Yeah. It's still going to provide you with quite a few hours of fun gameplay.
And I think I will pick it up regardless, unless it gets slated, which
it's just not going to happen.
We're at the consensus that's not going to happen with a Rockstar game at this point. I will pick it up and play it. I know for a fact that I will do that. I think there are very few games now that I can say safely this far in advance of release or announcement that I will play it. I will definitely get that game. Yeah. And I think there's a list of maybe, you could count on one hand the amount of titles that we've currently got upcoming that I would buy like that. And it's top of the list, I think.
Yeah.
And I always remember my experience of it, particularly, was the characters in that game are so varied and just hilarious and odd, and I remember that being a world populated not so much by things you could do outside of it. There were things to do, but like you said with the hunting missions, but not to the extent that there is with Grand Theft Auto.
Well, like Fallout 4 side missions.
Yeah, with that kind of precedent now, with what they managed to do in the world of Grand Theft Auto 5, I think they can safely say that they are going to be able to take that formula and look at that and go, okay, what did we do well there that we can bring into this world to support what we were already doing well? What made the original game memorable?
Were you going to say something, James? Or?
No, I was just agreeing with Olivia, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's weird because the context Rockstar are in now is that they're almost suffering because of the success of GTA 5. Because now they're like, okay, we need to release another game, but our old game's still selling like hot dogs, so what do we do here? But I mean, we'll see what happens with that. But I think it will probably be a great game. Hopefully it won't be too reliant on the online modes, because
I honestly feel
think
like it could take a lot away from it.
Yeah, I agree.
wouldn't particularly relish a GTA
because you've got to
online.
think, how are they going to balance Red Dead Online and GTA Online?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Like one company doing two.
It's going to be very interesting.
Like,
yeah. So let's move on to the big release of the last 2 weeks. A lot of reviews have just come out for it, and that is Battlefield 1. So this is the new game by DICE, I believe. Yep, DICE. So this is the next Battlefield, which actually has a pretty good reputation. Battlefield Bad Company 2 that was a old Battlefield, but I'm pretty sure that was really quickly acclaimed.
Yeah,
and it's got a massive fan base.
I think it's like the fans' favourite.
Right. And I've heard that Battlefield 1 is most like that one in terms of the feelings you get when you play the online, the graphics, the destruction. But yeah, so James, you've played it extensively, so you educate us.
Yeah, I've been playing it since launch day to try and get a review out, which I hopefully will start this weekend. But I've completed all the campaign. I'm about rank 25, 26 on the online, and I've played most of the modes, and I've played on all the maps. And the one thing I've got to take away from it is, like, as a person who played a lot of Battlefield 3, but not as much of 4, because it was
broke.
It was broke from launch, but also it didn't really have the same impact as 3 did for me back in the day, or Bad Company back in the day either. It's, I think, the best Battlefield game since Bad Company 2 in every respect. Like,
better than Bad Company 2? Same sort of.
I think obviously the online is better because
naturally
natural evolution.
Technology.
But the single player probably not, because obviously I think DICE hit its peak with single player in the Bad Company series. But the single player, I'll start with that as quickly. Not to give obviously too much review because I'm working on that, but the single player, obviously it's split up into like these 6 little episodes rather than a single continuous campaign.
Yeah, so sorry, do you mind if we just break this down, because I've heard about this campaign structure, but I really don't know what people are talking about. So vignettes or something?
It's called War Stories, and basically what it is a 6 separate. Think of it like an anthology series on Netflix. Yeah.
Okay, so what, 6 separate stories?
Like what Black Mirror have done
it's like Black
for this season. So they maybe might have a 6-episode arc, but each episode stands on its own within a continuous
timeline. So like American Horror Story, each
so
season's got different characters.
Yes, essentially.
Right.
Each war story, so basically War Story 1, it's called Through Mud and Blood. You play as like a British tanker crew. The second one, you play as an American pilot who volunteer in the British Air Force.
Yeah.
You play the third one. You play as an Italian soldier. Fourth one, and an Australian soldier.
Mate.
And the final story, you play as a female character who is in Lawrence of Arabia's rebellion unit.
Oh, that's awesome.
And all of it is really good. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say like, "Oh, it's typical single player superhero shooter nonsense." Yeah, and
that's exactly what video games are for.
In some bits, it is. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't represent World War One at its best in the gameplay, in terms of like all that super really thing. But that's not what DICE was going for.
Let's be honest.
That's an irrelevant point in my opinion. You don't come to a game expecting like if you wanted World War One simulator. Like,
play Verdun. Play
Verdun, or play like a game that's trying to give you that. This is an FPS that's aimed towards like competitive and fun gameplay.
Yeah. So when I heard that point, I was like, "That's completely stupid. It's Battlefield. It's always been that way. They're not going to change just because it's World War One, even though maybe they should have." But I took away from the campaign. The only thing I took away negatively was it is very short.
So how many missions are in each?
They vary between 2 at the least to 5 missions at the most per episode.
And do we have an average length of mission or?
Well, all of them, I played on hard difficulty because I tend to play games on hard just because I like.
It's challenging. Yeah, is that the hardest difficulty?
Yeah, hard. It goes easy on hard.
You done it on hard?
I've done it on hard.
Okay.
And it took me about 5 to 6 hours.
Oh my goodness! So it's not that hard.
No, it is. Certain bits, this is the other thing with the campaign, certain bits of it literally made me want to throw my controller across the room.
Difficulty spikes.
Yeah, because the difficulty is just stupid. Like, there's one bit in the, without no actual spoilers for stories, but like, there's one bit in the tanker campaign where you're literally having to use your tank to hold off reinforcements from in this village, and literally they throw at you like 2 heavy tanks, 2 light tanks, and a bunch of infantry. And that doesn't sound that much, but when you're one tank that takes about 50 seconds to reload each shot, and you take about 30 points of damage per shot you receive, absolute piss take. But yeah, my overall consensus is like the single player, because people are saying, it doesn't capture World War One properly. I disagree with that, not only because of that, because in certain bits of the cutscene, all the cutscenes are very well directed, very well voice acted, and the production quality is insane.
Yeah.
And I think there are certain little poignant moments in those cutscenes where you're like, that's a bit
deep.
Bit deep, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, obviously I'm not going into spoilers, but like the end of the Runner campaign where you play as the Australian soldier, that is a very kind of somber ending, as it were. So yeah, I feel like single player, I don't think it will linger in history or in the memory of many people, in comparison to something like, Modern Warfare or something like that. But it's a solid effort. It's the best one that DICE have done since Bad Company 2, and people should play it if they own the game. But the multiplayer, easily the best one, I think, since Bad Company 2. Much better than 4 in every respect. I haven't played a single map on it where I thought that map is atrocious. I've had like frustrations for the map because I can't conform to the way that map is built for my playstyle, but all the maps are absolutely amazing. The destruction is insane. Like shooting a blimp down and seeing it go up into a massive
I saw that on YouTube yesterday. It looks incredible.
Yeah. It never gets old. It's absolutely amazing every time it happens. The only real problem I have with the online is just the progression in the multiplayer, because I didn't really notice it until someone pointed it out to me, because I was just that kind of just ingrained in it. But each class now has a class rank, so you can rank up assault class 1 to 10. And each time you do it, you'll unlock more guns and more gadgets, etc. And number 1, there's not that many guns or gadgets in the game to begin with, if I'm honest. Yeah.
DLC probably,
but
which
number
is not
2, there's not that many attachments either. Your attachments for like a single gun essentially boil down to magnification being 1 times up to 2 times, having a bayonet or not, and what camouflage you want on it, and obviously that's probably to do with the period. Obviously, they didn't have shit like laser sights and red dot sights. It didn't exist back then.
You've just got iron sights and maybe 1 or 2 other.
What they replaced it with is the variant system, where like you get a gun where it's infantry, where it's the base one, but then you get a optical one where it's got a lens sight, and you've got a experimental one where it's like a 3-round burst or whatever. They've got different variants instead of attachments, which is arguably better or worse. I think it's alright. I enjoy the system. But the problem is, when you hit about rank 4 or 5 with the classes,
you don't get any more upgrades.
You don't get anything else till level 10. So, like, I'm trying to grind at the moment to unlock the last gun for assault. I'm level 5, and I'm unlocking nothing in that class until level 10.
Right.
And there's no real, like, push other than I want that better gun at the end. So there's nothing to keep me going back. But, that's probably something that will be fixed in DLC.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's my major complaint with the online, is just that progression system is a bit skewed in certain places, and I don't really understand why they've done
Quick
it like
question, before we move on to what you guys think. How many players are on a match online? Is it 64?
You can pick each mode. I think Rush, I haven't played much Rush, because that's another thing. Rush, I feel like it's still like a competent game mode, but it's just not as engaging in this one for some reason. I much prefer Conquest and the new Operations mode to Rush in this one, whereas I love Rush in 4. Weird. But as far as I'm aware, almost every game would accept Rush made, because in Rush I think it's up to 24 max, but for Operations and Conquest you can pick between 40 to 64 depending on your preference.
That's amazing. So. Are you playing on PS4?
Yeah, I play on PS4.
Okay.
I always play 64 players online as well, so that's just the better way to do it, in my opinion.
So what do you guys think, Olivia and James, other James?
I got to have a brief hands-on with the game at EGX, and apart from just minor frustrations like the guy that was driving the blimp never driving it to the right place and certain things like that, the game was enjoyable. It's like, objectively speaking, I'm glad that a company has taken the idea to go with the World War One, because it's not the most popular one. Like, for a while there was nothing but World War Two shooters, then all of a sudden there was nothing but modern shooters, and now one company is just they're like, oh, let's go for this World War One idea, and I think it's good because you've got the mix of the tanks, you've got the cavalry because that was a part of World War One, so like you've got and biplanes, biplanes, like all these planes involved. So I think you've got a real good different mix of different like obviously vehicles and weaponry, and obviously now that sniping isn't just pretty much instant fire or like you can't gauge it as well with these advanced scopes, there's a bit of a higher skill cap there. I think it's doing something really different, and I think it's like it's got to be like what's the word, complimented for that. Like it's got to be like it's got to be rewarded for what it is, and say it's a good game regardless of some of the other things. Having actually what I played of it, I'm not a huge fan of the FPS genre, like outside of maybe Overwatch, but yeah,
but you can still respect it.
Just to jump in what James said there about the setting, like complimenting it, I feel like that is one of the main reasons why I think it's the best one, because one thing that overwhelms you with something like Battlefield 4 is just like, all the guns, all the attachments, all like the different loadouts and everything. You could have like so much just to
like every Call of Duty now is just a ridiculous amount.
Whereas
of things.
Whereas like I'm like it could do with a few more unlocks just between those class ranks. But the fact that there's just not as much, and it still retains the amount of depth as a normal Battlefield game does, I think that really does help the game, because rather than you worrying about, have I got the right suppressor barrel adjustment and the right sight and the right amount of clip, then whatever, you can just be like, got a gun, pick my variant, and then, there's less frustration as well, thinking like, he only beat me in that firefight because he had the special attachment that you only unlock at rank 60. No, it's because he's better than you, basically, with that gun. So I feel like the setting not only complements the game, but also complements it in the way that it strips it back a bit and just makes it a bit more simple and easy to get into. So.
Yeah. Olivia, do you have any...
I haven't actually played it yet.
Neither have I.
So I am completely blind to actually what it's like to play. But from what I've seen of it and from what I've seen of other people playing and heard about it, I've heard that it's quite fun to play. I mean, there's no getting around the fact that people are enjoying the multiplayer. For the most part, I've heard that, again, with the only criticism, kind of the major criticism for the story mode being that it's not very long. Although I think people are enjoying that. I think there's something about it being, I guess, episodic in a sense, and it being more like vignettes than necessarily kind of a linear story. I think there's something that they tried to capture a lot of the kind of period, rather than giving you one linear story of one character or two characters, allowing you to play all these different characters from these different backgrounds, allow you to tap into things that a lot of games have similar sort of, like especially first-person shooters, so you have kind of the same sort of protagonist or a similar style of linear plot, and that I quite like the idea of that episodic, allowing you to play characters of different genders, different kind of backgrounds, different parts of the conflict, with obviously different skill sets, different voices. And I've heard again that there are parts of it that are remarkably poignant for a game where you might not expect that, and a lot of people won't play the story. I know people will play the multiplayer because they are regarded first and foremost for their multiplayer experience, kind of the Battlefield series. And I mean, I would certainly play both, I think, if I picked it up. But it's just not the game that I necessarily would pick up and play, but I would play if somebody was like, do you want to come around and play this?
Yeah, I think that I actually only play FPS's campaigns usually. That's just because how I play. Don't get me wrong, Modern Warfare 2, I was knee deep in that multiplayer. But I think that you're right in that having the different characters is good. But I also think that you don't get that attached to them when the deep moments happen. But like, I'm all for the different sides of the conflict, but maybe if it was just a bit longer, like you say, that would be a good improvement.
I think what Olivia said about the stories being like, all these different characters, not only because I did history A level and I know nearly nothing about World War One.
Right.
Yeah, I know little bits. But the way, and my first major exposure in the media to World War One really is Battlefield 1, if I'm completely honest. Yeah,
it's okay to say that. That's fine.
Yeah, but as uneducated and naive that maybe make me sound, but the fact that it does take all these different bits of the conflict around the world, because each one begins and ends with information about that bit of the war, kind of thing. It also just kind of teaches you a bit about one of the most major conflicts in human history.
And I think a lot of the first-person shooters we get that are set in war zones are set either predominantly in modern or future, the idea of futuristic war. or in World War II. I think there was that resurgence of World War II kind of Medal of Honor, the Japanese conflicts kind of, as well as kind of World War II periods. But World War One seems to be remarkably untouched for the most part by video game developers.
I think that's because obviously World War One, I feel there's more fear going into that one because
it's
World
also
War One was just so.
I think it's also known for basically just being trench fights, and perhaps there was a lack of inspiration there for it, so they didn't probably think of the blips of the horses, and maybe technology also limited that. But we have to move on, I'm afraid, just quickly for our last section of the podcast. So, other James L.
Yeah.
BlizzCon's coming up.
Yes, BlizzCon.
So, Blizzard's convention.
Yeah,
with announcements
released. The Hearthstone World Championship.
Yay! No,
actually, I played Hearthstone a fair bit. I was going to say a long time ago. It's not that old of a game, but a while back. And the World Championships are fascinating in that. I think the thing with Hearthstone again is that because it's continually being updated, nerfed, things like that. People I know that do pretty much the same with World of Warcraft, play it when there's a new expansion comes out, and then there's a kind of a lull in the middle, and then it picks up again towards the end of that cycle when just before the new one kind of comes out. It's the same with Hearthstone with the expansions, I think.
It happens a lot,
I'm pretty hyped to see what the World Championships are like, just to see how much better than me they are.
Well, yeah, there's some really big. Obviously, if you follow the Hearthstone professional scene, you'd know them. But there's some big names going into the World Championship, like you'd expect. And there's also the rumored announcement of a new expansion, which has yet to be confirmed. And I believe quite a few of it's speculation at this point. But there is rumored that there is going to be another expansion fairly close after what was the old expansion, Whispers of the Old Gods. In the same year, and that's quite rare for a card game of any kind to have two expansions come out so close to each other. But if that's true, that'd be absolutely fantastic, because again, that's new cards, that's new gameplay, that's new play styles. It's fantastic. And then moving on to talk more about BlizzCon, because we're a bit rushed for time at this point. There's also Overwatch, and Overwatch are saying that they've got a big announcement coming out at BlizzCon, and most people are believing this to be the release of the new hero Sombra, who has been teased in the game for about
leaked
so long. Yeah, for leaked. Although Blizzard have said nothing about this leak,
they kept silent. There was a supposed leak of the character, and then Blizzard kind of, rather than doing the whole either confirm or deny, they just were like, what leak? What?
What's a leak?
What is a leak? In other news, we had that, which
hopes are fine.
I quite appreciate, because either they go, we're doing this, but we're not ready to show you it yet, so just bear with. And then you've got people going, okay, but there's been a leak, so you've got something, can we see this thing? And them having to deal with that pressure consistently until they announce it. Or them denying it and that not being true, and they're actually going to get. I think either way, them keeping silent has actually done them a bit of good.
Yeah, probably.
There's also an overwhelming frustration towards them at this point, due to the fact that they've been teasing this hero since the game came out.
Right.
There was voice lines. One of the characters, Reaper, said, "Where's Sombra when you need her?" There was KS Sombra all over the walls of a certain map. They did this huge ARG promotion trail that they did for the Summer Games event. If you paused the video in a certain place, there was a code in Tracer's trail when she rushes past the camera at one point. And if you unscramble the code, it took you to this website. And if you go to this website, it about 2 weeks ago, it said it reached 100% because it charged really, really slowly. And once it reached 100%, all it said was protocol uploaded, Bastion committed, or something like that. And then if you took the character Bastion on the map that Sombra's supposedly related to, he made a noise when he goes past a certain screen. They're taking the piss with how much stupid promotion.
That is crazy.
They get to a stage where you have to stop and just say what the hero does and when they're coming out.
There's a difference between a teaser and having to Google the hell out of it to even understand what is going on. So
quick thing here. So characters, I assume, are a big thing in Overwatch. So they're like, the whole game is based on how the characters play. So who is Sombra?
She's believed, basically I've been following her quite closely because I love the game and I want her to be good, but she seems to be like she's going to be one of the most annoying characters in the world, because she appears to, so far she appears to have both a denial and a stealth mechanic, meaning that which isn't in the game so far, meaning that she's going to be incredibly hard to pin down and kill, or she's going to stop other people doing their abilities and using their ultimates. Either way, that's going to frustrate the hell out of a lot of people. So it looks, the whole aesthetic of her, if you haven't guessed already, is like she's this hacker lady. She's like this evil, like manipulating hacker, and it appears like her playstyle and the way that she's going to work is that she's just going to basically manipulate the game around her, and this is going to annoy a lot of people.
I think, though, the thing with Overwatch to remember is if you've not seen them, and I'm going to plug them for Blizzard here, here you go, go watch the character shorts on YouTube that they did for Overwatch.
They're
Some of them, I think the Widowmaker one I quite like because I just like the way that's set up. The Bastion one, I didn't think, like... Just the way that they've set some of those up, they're only 8. Some of them are only 5, 6, 7 minutes. Like the hands-on one, like
Dragons.
The
Dragons is 8
one
minutes long, I think, and it's fantastic.
Fantastic, and they're great. If you haven't seen them, go and watch them.
Yeah,
because
I do want to have time to play Overwatch. I'm just a bit.
It's also the one thing that I believe has put quite a few people off of Overwatch as a game is it's £40 for a multiplayer only game. And that is, to a lot of people, is a bit...
That being said, I absolutely adore Titanfall 1 to this day. I genuinely think it was the best multiplayer game I played for years. Like, I genuinely loved it, even though it's basically multiplayer only. So, but when is BlizzCon happening? Do you know?
I believe it's this weekend. I'll have to...
Okay.
Obviously, we can put in the video description or something so we can confirm. But yeah, I believe it's this week.
And just a quick sort of summary of what BlizzCon usually is and how long it's been running for, because I really don't know anything. So how long has BlizzCon been going on for? Since like World of Warcraft days? Or
yeah, it's Blizzard have been a big company for a long time. And since World of Warcraft exploded, they basically have their own convention. But they have an awful lot of... at that point, I believe it was more a convention than what it is now, which is both... convention, promotion, world championships, everything. Blizzard.
Right, okay, so you got releases, you got announcements. Oh, well, maybe not release, but you got announcements of things. You've got championships. Well, yeah. Okay, well, like small DLC and stuff.
Expansions, maybe.
Okay.
So basically, the way that Overwatch works in that the hero, because obviously they need to be balanced first, she'll probably be released onto the testing server called the PTR. She'll be released on that for a week come BlizzCon. And then she'll be available a week later, but that is officially when they coincided with the release of the hero.
Okay.
But there probably will be releases of BlizzCon, yeah.
Okay. So you're excited?
I'm excited for BlizzCon, but I'm not sure if anyone else is. But
I
just don't know a lot about it. But my time with Blizzard has ended when I stopped playing World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I played it for like a month straight, and it was amazing. But then I was like, I don't know.
So I played World of Warcraft for
Overwatch,
4 years.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah,
Overwatch singularly kind of brought around for me the resurgence of my interest in Blizzard.
Yeah, it's Hearthstone for me, and then Overwatch.
Yeah, do you know what? I remember when I was playing World of Warcraft and I heard about this new card game that was announced called Hearthstone. I was like, yeah, it'll be alright. And then it absolutely exploded.
I know people that have spent hundreds of pounds on cards.
Oh, I've spent hundreds of pounds.
We all know someone there.
Yeah, we all.
No, one of the funniest things is there's a really bad legendary in the game called Millhouse Manastorm, and on my birthday I was like, oh, I'll open some packs because it's my birthday, I'll get some Hearthstone cards, and I got a golden Millhouse Manastorm, which means that his animation is all done in big flashy animations and it moves and everything, and I was just there like, well, that's fantastic. On my birthday, I received one of the worst cards in the game with flashy animations.
Oh, dear.
And I'm never getting rid of that card.
So reached the end of the podcast, unfortunately. So just a quick sum up then. The Nintendo Switch looks like it's hopefully going to be a success, and we want it to be a success.
We really want it to be.
Red Dead 2 will probably be a great game, but it's a stupid name. Battlefield 1 is good, and it's almost...
I wouldn't say good, I'd say literally fantastic.
Right, it's a great resurgence of the franchise, and BlizzCon is a very exciting time.
Let's hopefully there'll be something in the next podcast for me to actually tangibly say came out of BlizzCon, so...
Maybe a character, but I'm not too sure.
I hope so. If we get to BlizzCon and it turns out it's just they're like, oh yeah, we were lying the whole time, Sombra doesn't exist, we pranked
or it's
you.
something completely different.
Yeah.
April? No.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween?
Yeah, just... If they don't start releasing tangible information on a hero or Sombra soon, people are going to start writing.
Yeah, sure. So thanks for joining us, listeners. We'll see you again in the next podcast, which will be 2 weeks, I believe.
Yeah,
so it's goodbye from all of us. So see you later.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.